Hello and welcome to another Halloo Sees It review. Today I'm reviewing another Egyptian themed game. This one is called Valley of the Kings, produced by AEG and designed by Tom Cleaver. It's a deck building game, and just comes in this little box here, deck of cards. And as it says on the box here, 2 to 4 players. It takes about 45 minutes. It took maybe a little bit longer the first game as we were trying to figure out strategy. It recommends 14 and up. I'm sure it could be played with a little bit younger than that. But what you'll find in the box here is numerous cards and an instruction booklet. There are 96 artifact cards. And then there are 4 tune cards and 4 reference cards. The reference cards are double-sided. Gives you kind of a setup order, the end of game criteria, and on the other side here, the actual taking of your turn. Each player will begin with a tune card, and this is important because at the end of the game, you win by having the most points accrued in your tomb. One of the actions that we'll get to and show you is you actually entomb these cards to your tomb, which takes them out of your deck, out of play. But how you get points is accruing these cards in sets. The sets are shown in color and in symbol, so that's kind of nice. Kind of the double use of set notation there, the color and the symbol. You'll notice that there are multiple cards, like cards in the deck. For example, in the bottom left here, this shows that there are 6 other books. Okay, so there's 6 other cards in this particular set that you can collect. This one here is the Book of Gates. It has a name. It has the number up here is the cost of the card. The number in this gold area here would be the number of gold that it is worth if you were to play it for money. Or there's going to be text here that will actually be the action. If you want to use this card as an action, you'd be able to reveal the top card of your deck, execute this action if possible, and then discard the card. Okay. What happens is each player in most deck building games, as those who are familiar with them know, you start with a starting hand. In a lot of cases, it's kind of this 7-to-3 ratio, but other deck builders have multiple cards that the player's going to start with. This one starts with a combination of 1, 2, 3, and 4. I have one too many there. So you have 1 offering table, 2 boxes of food, 3 urns, and 4 shati. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong. But the concept of the game, again, you're adding new cards to your deck. You do that by purchasing one of the available base of the pyramid cards. And when you purchase a card, what happens is that the pyramid is going to crumble down, if you will, and this would fall down, that would fall down, and then a new card would be revealed and put on top. You'll also notice that the bottom right hand corner there's a notation of 2, Roman numeral 2 here, and that signifies the kind of second phase of the pyramid. The deck is split up into the cards that you begin with, being phase 1, and in this gray color. And then you'll get into phase 3, where you have the Roman numeral 3. And you'll notice that as the numbers, like phase 3 cards, are going to be a little more pricey, and they're going to be a little more powerful as well, but those will come up later in the game when people have improved their deck. So that's kind of a cool concept. You have a discard over here called the Boneyard that players will interact with quite frequently with a different text on the cards. if, for example, someone chooses this one and purchases that, then that player has a choice of how to crumble the pyramid, which you'll want to, strategically choose that. The opponent may want to be purchasing this or something, and so I may want to not make that card available yet. Or you are able to make multiple purchases if you can. Maybe I would have rather purchased that, had this one crumble down, and then I could actually purchase this one as well and add it to my discard. So that's how the pyramid works. It's always going to crumble. If you choose not to purchase something for a given turn, you will actually pick a card to crumble the pyramid and put it in the boneyard. So the pyramid's always going to be adjusting, always moving, which is a pretty cool concept. The cards are also kind of themed a little bit, if you will, on what they do. There's also, as I mentioned, in the game, you can do a few things. Let's just go through the actions here. Don't get ahead of myself too much. I don't want to explain all the rules and get all the detail, but I want to show you kind of how unique this game is with its mechanisms and everything in that. So anyway, on your turn you play a card, and it can be used to buy a card from the base of the pyramid, execute action listed on the card, as we mentioned, or entomb the card. And you can entomb a card or take one from your hand and put it in your tomb. You can put it underneath it or to the side of it, whatever works. And that's entombing it. And again, the reason you want to do that is you are only going to obtain points for cards that are actually entombed in your pyramid. You'll notice on this little chart here, you get points according to the number of cards in each set. So if you only have one card in a specific set, you would get 1 victory point. If you have 4 cards in a particular set, you would get 16, and so on. Other than that, there are some cards, like the cards that you'll start with, these gray cards, that you'll notice have the type of card there and 1 victory point. There are purple cards in the Phase 2 and Phase 3 decks, which are kind of similar. They are considered unique objects and artifacts, and they have a victory point associated with them just by themselves. And so you'd score 3 victory points for having this entombed in your pyramid. And these purple cards are really interesting because they can be very, very powerful. This one says, discard a card, take a card of the same set as the discarded card. So you can have a card that costs, 7 gold up here, and it can even be not in the base of the pyramid that you may need for another set or whatnot. And this card allows you to play it, discard another blue card, and then I can go ahead and take any of the available cards matching that and add it to my deck. So very, very powerful, also worth 3 gold here. Very, very useful in this Phase 2. I mean, it's a very powerful card. And so the balance of keeping it in your deck as long as you can to utilize it, but then also making sure that you can entomb it to get those 3 victory points before the end of the game. When you do purchase something, you play cards. So if I were to play these 2, for example, for the money, I would have 4, and I would look up here if I wanted, say, this Book of Gates, but it only costs 3. That's okay, I can still purchase it, but that extra gold there is going to be wasted. And then I could play another more gold, and for example, if I had these cards, the pyramid again would crumble. I'd adjust that. If I had 2 more cards in my hand that I wanted to purchase, I have 3, I could purchase this one, and the pyramid would crumble again. And the game progresses like that. And it's just very interesting because a lot of these cards, you sacrifice cards you entomb a card from your hand. Sacrificing your cards, you actually take a card and put it in the boneyard. So you're always going to be losing cards from your deck as you're gaining cards. You're going to be losing cards to sacrificing them. You're going to be losing them to entombing them. And so there's kind of a balance of keeping enough cards in your deck to be useful and actually sacrificing cards to gain points. And it's a very interesting concept, and it's very challenging as you get closer to the end of the game. I was getting down where I didn't have very many cards, and I was kind of worried that I had gotten, I started entombing too many or something like that. And so it's just very, very unique feeling to it, I think. And again, with like the different cards coming up, not having, set decks that you just purchase from, like Dominion, for example, but single cards that are going to come up. And there are duplicates, again, like I said, but you're also trying to collect sets as you go along. And you can't really focus on too many, or you're going to be spread too thin and not get enough points. So anyway, really, really fun game. I really enjoy it. The game ends when all these in the deck are gone and no cards are left in the pyramid. And all the players have taken the same number of turns. And then the game ends. Players will add up their victory point cards, and then they'll add the points from the applicable sets that they have. And that is the winner with the most points. Very, very fun game. It did take a lot longer than I was kind of feeling, because there isn't that many cards. With like the Dominion and the setup and things like that, I was expecting this to take a little bit less amount of time, but it really does last quite a while. And like I said, there's unique cards coming up each time, so you're going to have people, as cards come up, you're going to have cards that you're going to want to read. People are going to be analyzing, okay, what card do I need? Do I really need more money? Do I need more green cards? Anyway, it's really, really fun. It's, I think, kind of a interesting set collecting, deck building mashup here. It's kind of nice that they have here on the bottom how many of that set, different cards of that set are available. To kind of give that to you. So, and just to clarify that, so like this says here, sarcophagi 3. That means there are actually 3 different kinds of sarcophagi. There's the middle sarcophagus, the outer, and the inner. But there's multiple copies of this card as well. The only thing there is if I have 2 middle sarcophagus entombed in my tomb, it doesn't get me anything. It doesn't add another card for this set. It's unique cards of that color. But anyway, Valley of the Kings, a 2 to 4 player deck building game by AEG, and a very, very unique atmosphere theme game. It's really, really good, very enjoyable. Go ahead and check it out.